And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for the extended break, the extended delays, but we have returned with our first qualifying match of the tournament of the qualifier. Our first best of 5, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Equilibrium, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Cloud9. It is GuMiho. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Canadian Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on how you think this series will unfold, and we're already going to be popping off with a proxy Rax in the center of the map. Because of course we are. Wild move here from GuMiho, going for a singular proxy Rax. The Overlord is on the way, by the way, so Scarlett will get eyes on this very quickly. Does get eyes on the Rax, but again, it's only a single Rax. We're taking 2 gases behind this. GuMiho from here, he can transition back at home. Again, this is just so peculiar. Because it's dead set in the center of the map as well, of course it's going to get scouted. I'm curious if Scarlett is going to overreact. For now, it's going to be a hatch gas pool standard open out of Scarlett. Overlords are getting in position. And I do appreciate as well that the Overlords are actually fanning out. Oh, as we do get a bit of a pause. And hopefully everything is okay. Whether it's latency or even hotkeys, hopefully everything is on the up and up here. Oh, that's what we're gonna be. Yeah, it looks like something did come up. You know, maybe Uber Eats at the door, getting some food. Oh, okay, we're good. I know what happened, but it's all good here. The players have agreed to start back up. Whew. And yeah, we are transitioning back at home. GuMiho working on his depot on the low ground, soon to be factory. Yep, there we go, there's that factory on the low ground as well. So just going for a Reaper first before I imagine floating back home. And with this faster Reaper, he's going to be able to get potentially a little bit more damage done as well. There we go, first Reaper has arrived, second Reaper is on the way. We're going to be committing a little bit harder here. Reaper is dipping into the main. Again, because this Reaper is slightly faster, we actually have a spine crawler in production. We're going for the drones. So far, the drones are going to be pulled back in time. Oh, we do morph in that spore. Just in time. The Lings, they have arrived. Again, we're just trying to buy time here for the Queen to pop out. Investing into the spine crawler is a pretty big commitment though here from Scarlett. As the Queen is out, and from here I believe we can cancel that spine crawler. If they do rotate around, it looks like the spine crawler will finish actually. Ay. Again, that's a pretty big investment. Scarlett not quite aware of what's going on behind this. Again, she hasn't seen the natural. To be fair, for all Scarlett knows, it is 3-Rax Reaper. So I do believe that she is just over-committing a little bit here, overreacting even, as GuMiho is transitioning, going for factory, into CC, into starport. Working on that next step. Only invested into 3 Reapers before getting the hell out of there. And containing Scarlett to 2 bases, as well as forcing out a spine crawler, like, this is already good damage. Good damage from GuMiho, and he's not done. Also, I misspoke. I said it was a factory CC starport. I believe it was a 1-1-1, then into a delayed CC, which means we have Cyclones and even a medevac on the way. Oh my god. GuMiho coming out with the GuMiho builds here. Going straight for that Cyclone job, looking to catch Scarlett off guard. Oh. Not like this. Not like this, puppy. And here we go. Cyclones are moving out. Scarlett just now getting her third base. Again, a very delayed third just because of the opener. Very delayed base. Drop is going to be coming in. From here, we can go for Overlords, yes, or we could even go for some Queens. The Overlords are being hunted down. First one going to be falling. We do have a good amount of Lings. Continuing Cyclone production behind this, by the way. Looking for another Overlord. Again, he does want it. And GuMiho is going to get it as well. Second Overlord gets picked off. Behind this, we're getting into a Raven. The Raven's going to be able to help clean up some of this creep. Even add some auto turrets. Third CC behind this, so it's not going to be a 2-base all-in. But there are no add-ons here on the Raxes. I'm curious if we're going to commit to mech. So far, looking to be the case. As we're hunting down another Overlord. We want it. Oh. The Queens. Queens are in position. GuMiho has to respect it. He has to back up. Does have to retreat from here. As we just continue to pump out nothing but Cyclones. We're up to 6. Soon to be 8. 8 Cyclones for GuMiho. See, this is when he throws down a fusion core. This is Clutch chance. She is keeping the Queen alive. But here we go. The additional Cyclones are soon to hit the field, and Scarlett is in the dark. She has no idea what has been going on and what is coming her way. And there it is. 2 more factories. It is going to be mech from GuMiho. Scarlett going for a Spire. Oh, I'm not in love with the Spire. Cyclones, they can do surprisingly well against mutas. Here we go. The Cyclones, they have been revealed. Diving onto creep. Scarlett coming together and massing her Queens. Good target firing on some of these Ravens. But the auto turrets are thrown down. Buying a lot of time. The Lings get cleaned up, and now we're getting on top of the Queens. Transfuse are okay for now, but alas, the Queens are going to get completely cleaned up. Oh, 1 Queen remains. Lings are trickling on in, but we can get the final Queen as well. Spinecrawler does soak quite a bit of damage, but it goes down. Cyclone does go down. Sorry, Spine does go down, but Scarlett does hold. From here, GuMiho's backing off, getting into Hellion production as well as Banshees. Earlier, we had a hefty amount of Cyclones, not anymore, which means Scarlett, she could try to pop off with this Spire, but no, there it is. Hydrogen's on the way. Does make a lot more sense. Ling Hydra can fare a lot better against these mass Cyclone compositions. We'll see if we invest into mutas. Yeah, there it is. 5 mutas on the way. So it looks like Scarlett only intends to make a harassing force of mutas, I would say at 7 at the most, to get across the map to deal some economic damage. Speaking of, a Hellion drop into the main. Did I say Hellion? I meant to say Hellbat drop into the main, actually. Going straight for the middle line. Oh, trying to. Bold move by GuMiho. He does get cleaned up. Job gets forced out. Behind this, Hydra upgrades are on the way. Mutas looking to shut down that medevac. I think we only made 6. Yeah, only 6 mutas. That is enough to one-shot workers to chase down these medevacs. As GuMiho rotates down towards the south, meanwhile back at home, GuMiho has not seen the mutas. Unaware, does have plenty of Cyclones, but he's not in position. And the mutas are going straight for the main. Straight for that mineral line. SCVs are going down. We forced them off the mineral line, but here come those Cyclones. Oof. Only 4 dead workers before being forced out. It's an okay amount of damage, but from here, Scarlett hard switching into Hive Tech. Again, Hydra speed +1 range. Ling Hydra Viper is typically considered to be the answer to a lot of these Cyclone builds. Just to try to keep up mobility wise and also have the Vipers to shut down and abduct a lot of those Cyclones as well. As they rotate towards the right hand side, they do come across the would-be 4th. Hellbat drop coming in once again. He's going to be forced back. And this will be shut down. As the mutas are making a beeline, rushing back home. There's that Hive in production. We spoke about it earlier. I imagine for Vipers. Meanwhile, GuMiho, that Cyclone army is becoming terrifying. We are up to 16 Cyclones. Oh boy. Got a couple of Hellions to support. We have a Raven still alive as well for those auto turrets. The Hellbat drop does get cleaned up, and here we go. GuMiho is going to be committing. Scarlett has been able to join up Lings. They do come in for a surround. We do engage. We do get some decent connections here. But the mutas, they're being cleaned up, and this is a better fight for GuMiho. Cleans up the Lings, the mutas, most of the Hydras as well. I don't think GuMiho has enough momentum to break any of these bases, but he wants the Hydras. Oh, almost gets them. Does rotate around, still keeps the Raven alive so we can clean up so much of this creep. And from here we have a marauding group of Cyclones, but behind this we're getting into tank production, which I think is a wise choice. I do think you need to be flexible with how you play mech, and once you see Hydras on the way, hey, just double down on tanks. That's all you need. Meanwhile, 4 Vipers are being made here for Scarlett, which will also help against the tanks. Behind this, GuMiho also getting up to 80 workers on 4 bases, soon to be 5. So 5 base versus 5 base. Scarlett throwing down her 6th as we speak. Double starport here to get into some Sky Terran production. To get into additional Vikings. Ideally, we want to throw it on a Ghost Academy to get ready for those Vipers with Ghosts. Now they're big tank shots. They do go off on the Hydras. Scarlett maxing out. GuMiho rotating around with his army. Still not committing. Vipers are NG being topped up. There's still no Vikings or any secure way to shut down these Vipers, so there's going to be a big power spike here for Scarlett. She does have a lot of potential, but the tanks are sieged. And we're committing. We are committing. We get some abductions, some blinding clouds as well. We pick off a couple of those tanks, but there's still so many behind this. Scarlett going to try and push forward into 4 tanks, and this is not going to work out. The Hydra army melts. Again, a bit of an overextension, a big overextension from Scarlett. And with that, GuMiho snowballing out of control, cleans up the entire army, and now we can commit. We can push, and I don't know if Scarlett can stop this. Again, losing too much too quickly. Scarlett remaxing with Lings and Hydras. 5 more Vipers in production as well, but the tanks, they are encroaching upon these bases. Closing in. The Lings go for the dives, but we have enough to support. The Lings get cleaned up. Hydras as well. We are within range of these bases. Vipers are going to be coming in, but we need more than just Vipers on their own. We got 1 tank. And every Cyclone. Very nice pickups. And we should have enough for another tank as well. And Scarlett being very careful with how she engages. But there's too much to yoink and there are too many tanks. Yeah, tank shot's going to be going off, but we can still go toe-to-toe with the Hydras. It looks like it was a good moment for Scarlett picking up, what was that, like 4 or 5 tanks. But GuMiho has too much momentum, camping the production. Trying to get on top of those hatcheries. The Hydras are going down, the Queens as well. There just is not enough here to hold on. Again, earlier Scarlett did overextend, pushing into so many tanks. And props to GuMiho again for refining his army, not overcommitting to mass Cyclone, getting into tanks just when he needed to. And now we even have some Liberators. Liberators have arrived. Fusion cores on the way for Lagrange. The Hydras, they are trying to hold on here. There's only so much they can do on their own. Big anti-armor missile. Only getting half the Hydras. But half it's gonna be good enough. As this space is gonna go down. The hatchery will fall. That's 2 bases going down for Scarlett. She's knocked down to 4 base saturation. GuMiho, he has 103 SCVs. TY, is that you? Oh my god. Harnessing his inner TY. That high SCV count is going to be hurting him a little bit more than helping him. That's what I will say. Do you yoink a couple of those libs, tanks. It's Raven as well. Scarlett forcing this back. Again, because of the high SCV count, that is impacting how large, or I should say how small, the main army of GuMiho is. So not ideal. It's what's important is 103 SCVs plus mules. That's what's important. Oh god. Aliens, they get into a mineral line, they roast up a couple of workers. We deny the northern base. Scarlett is still in this. But we have a lot of recovering to do. We need a hatchery to get up and running. We're double expanding. GuMiho has eyes on this. Gonna try and deny it. Cyclones in position. More Cyclones pushing towards the north. Broodlords are on the way. Can we turn this around? As though the Hellions, they're getting into the middle line. Drones are going to be going down. The hatcheries are saved, and they're going to get up and running slowly but surely. Scarlett is closing that gap in supply, getting into Corrupted Broodlord. But here comes the next wave of mech, the next wave of GuMiho. Oh god, that's a lot of freedom. It's a lot of liberation zones. As Cyclones are getting out of control. We clean up so many of these Hydras. They are so fragile. Broodlords are coming in. But even then, there's just not enough support. Even a Broodlord went down to the Cyclones. The Vipers as well. The Vipers, they were the MVP of this game. They were keeping Scarlett in this, but they get cleaned up. Now we're just rallying units everywhere. Liberators into each of those bases. Drones are falling left and right. Everything is on fire. Bases are falling as well. Libs, they can even just fight the Broodlords head on at this point. Doesn't even matter. One Broodlord is left and up. Oh god, barely does survive on 1 HP. The 1 HP Broodlord. But we've taken down another base. That's 35 dead workers. And GG is going to get called. GuMiho taking game number 1. GG. Bearing in mind, this all started with a proxy Rax. With a singular proxy Rax in the center of the map. Went up to 3 Reapers into a double Cyclone drop. It was such a wild opener out of GuMiho, and it did so well. Remember, I do believe that Scarlett believed that it was more of a commitment from GuMiho, and GuMiho kind of forced an overreaction, then was able to gain map control with those Cyclones, and of course eventually snowball out of control as well. I do think Scarlett had a really strong moment when she first rocked up with those Vipers. With her Ling Hydra Viper army, she was able to shut down the first wave of tanks, if you remember. But after that, after the first wave of tanks was cleaned up, we did push a little bit too far out onto the map, and we ran into a second wave of tanks, into like 4 siege tanks on the high ground, and that was when Scarlett lost her first big Hydra army, and from that moment she was never able to max out. From that moment, GuMiho was able to maintain a supply lead for the rest of the game. That was like the pivotal moment of game 1, where things swung in favor of GuMiho and never swung away. GG, well played. A solid game 1 there out of GuMiho. And now we're getting ready for game number 2. Gonna be on hard lead. Here we go. But again, initially the Ling Hydra Viper was doing fine, and again until we just got a little bit too cavalier with it. Again, it's very much so on a knife's edge, because the Hydra based army is so fragile. You have to be very careful with how and when you engage, otherwise it could all be over then and there. The army can crumble, and here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left hand corner of hard lead, we have the Canadian Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have her opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Cloud9, leading the series 1-0. It is GuMiho. Oh, we're moving out again. This time we're more committed though. GuMiho, 2 games in a row going for a proxy Rax, but this time there's a second SCV. It's going to be a proxy 2 Rax out of our Terran player. Did I say 2 Rax? My apologies, because that is a 3rd SCV on the way. So a proxy 3 Rax here from GuMiho. Going to be very committed. It's going to be 3 Rax Marine. With this, we're going to be leapfrogging forward with some bunkers, and it's going to be on Scarlett to get a read on what's going on. She is rallying forward with that Overlord, and we will come across the Raxes. So very important scout here from Scarlett. she will have a bit of a heads up, and she can, of course, start to prepare back at home. What's important as well is that this Overlord will not just see the 2 Raxes, but will see all 3 of them, so she knows how committed this is. For those that are curious, Proxy 2-Rax and Proxy 3-Rax, they do require different responses from the Zerg player, so very important that Scarlett can distinguish between them. She does see all 3 of them. Now, if this was Dark, we would see Dark pull the boys and try to shut this down ahead of time. Dark is crazy like that. But from here, we should be preparing and going for a more conservative defense. Second gas is being taken. Once the spawning pool is done, we throw down a Roach Warren. Roach Warren should be on the way for Scarlett, and most likely we will be losing this natural base. This natural will most likely be getting killed. Roach Warren is on the way. We're just preserving all of our gas, as much of it as we can. The queens are in production. We have to be very careful not to be supply blocked. That's another danger here, because we're going to be heavily reliant on roaches. They're very supply inefficient. We need to sneak out those overlords and, again, avoid that supply block. Marines have arrived. Lings are on the way. And again, as we mentioned before, this hatchery should die. This queen is gonna be able to pop out, but is it gonna be able to escape though? That's the question. Queen going toe-to-toe with the army. Lings are gonna be engaging as well. But we will lose the queen. Roaches in production. And GuMiho, he's going straight for the main. He ignores the hatchery. He wants another queen. Oh my god. The bold move here from GuMiho, getting into the mineral line and not quite getting workers before pulling back, aware that roaches are about to pop. Again, GuMiho, he's aware of his timings. Marines are going to get picked up, but we do get to the bunker. And hatchery getting very low. Queens are coming down. Can we save this? Looking unlikely. Spore pearls are cancelled. Hatchery is going to fall. But again, I love that GuMiho, after killing the queen on the low ground, he knew that like there was a small window. There were a couple of seconds where he could go up and try to kill the queen in the main. Did back up. Behind this, we're getting into Marauder production. Ooh, we're actually doubling down here on Marauders. So basically, GuMiho is all in. At this point, killing the natural, you can try to transition. It's a difficult transition out of 3x, to be fair. He's just doubling down on the all-in, going for Proxy Marauder behind this. Scarlett trying to break free, trying to deal with this bunker. Fully saturating her main. Lyle's doing what they can. I'm concerned about Stim. Stim is on the way. That's going to be a big power spike here for GuMiho. And once he has Stim, he can dive on these Ravagers. Here we go, Ravagers. They have rocked up. Wiles will be connecting. They take down the SCVs. Big pickup. SCVs go down. Sim is not done yet. Scarlett pushing forward. It's going to be threatening this army, but we can just we take down the Roach. We take down a Ravager. Take down a second Ravager as well. And have we overextended? As more Ravagers are falling. At the same time, though, there are only 3 Marauders. Scratch that. 4, 5. We have reinforcements coming in, and Scarlett is going to be losing everything. Yeah, every single Ravager is going to be going down. And we just can't afford these losses here. Not on a one-base economy. Behind this, we have a couple more Ravagers, a couple more Roaches. Scarlett trying to muster up an army. GuMiho getting a bit cavalier. We have to back off. Waiting for Stim. Another Marauder gets picked off. Nicely done. Trading a Marauder for... Sorry, 2 Marauders for a Ravager. Lings are coming in to reinforce. GuMiho bleeding out a lot here. Does have Stim. But we'll be losing another Marauder. And back at home, GuMiho is trying to transition. Factory is on the way. Marauder count that much higher. We still haven't revealed Stim, not yet. Waiting for it. Going for a factory and starport follow-up. It looks like we want Medivacs. We do want those Medivacs. Going for the scan. Pick up one of those tumors. Link speed in production. Scarlett getting her natural base back up and running. Doesn't have the most amazing economy, but we're getting there. Our Lings are on the way. Ling Ravager from Scarlett. Her goal here is to surround these Marauders and to shut them down before the medevacs arrive. We should be going for an add-on top back at home for the medevac production, but it's going to take too late. It's going to take too long. It's going to be too late. SCVs have gone down. No repairs available here out on the map. Tech Labs under fire. So far, this army is looking quite terrifying, quite intimidating, but Ling speed, we're still a couple of seconds away. A couple of seconds, then we can go for the surround. Then we can collapse on this army. Yeah, we're going for it. GuMiho knows he has to back off, but Ling speed. Scarlett racing GuMiho to his own main base. Medevacs on the way. GuMiho gonna have to try to go up this ramp into the Roach Ravager or into the Ravager Ling. Good fighting here from GuMiho. Does use his stim, gonna be just rotating back into the main. Scarlett has momentum, can pull this off. Diving into the main base, piling down another one of those depots. GG gets caught. Scarlett, she breaks into the main base, and Scarlett will tie up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. GuMiho was completely all in there. Did not expand, was not working on that next step, just doubling down on Marauders. And that was close, though, is what I will say. That was very tense, a very tense game. It did look like Scarlett had maybe overextended when she was trying to shut down the Raxes, and she lost a big chunk of Ravagers. I thought it would be over then and there, but alas, was able to get into Ling speed, was able to get her natural up and running, make use of the larva, and eventually snowball out of control. We have a series, we have a back and forth, and that is what matters. That is what matters. Let's go. As game number 3 is going to be on site Delta. The question becomes, okay, game 1, GuMiho proxied 1 Rax. Game 2 was 3 Raxes. Game 3, to go up to 5? Like, what? How's the math work there? How many Raxes? How many Raxes? We're here to find out. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of site Delta. We have the Canadian Zerg player. The red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have her opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Cloud9. It is GuMiho. And we are tied up. Where will this take us? This time, for the first time this series, there is no SCV out on the map. We are not proxying. The Rax is back at home. We do have a back at home instead. Going for a standard opener? Crazy. Is GuMiho feeling okay? Is he okay, Path? We'll see. Again, for now, just a Rax gas into an expansion here on the low ground. Everything should be looking normal, and we should be getting into a standard early game at least, but yeah, maybe I'm going to end up eating my words there, you know. Can I really confidently say that when casting GuMiho? Not sure if I can. For now, though, everything looks normal. For now. Scarlett's getting into her hatch gas pool. Standard opener from our Zerg player, as we've seen every game so far. Nothing out of the norm. Meanwhile, across the map, we should be getting to that expansion. Reaper is on the way. The question becomes, from here, do we go into a 1-1-1? Do we go into a faster third CC? On a map like Site Delta, I'm expecting a faster third CC. We've spoken about this before, but Site Delta is a very large, very long, very wide map. Has led into a lot of split match scenarios as well. Aggression can be difficult to pull off here on Site Delta, so we'll see. We'll see how GuMiho approaches it. As the first Reaper is going to be moving out, just to get some scouting information, poke and prod, be an annoyance. and make sure that Scarlett isn't rushing into a fast gas, into fast roaches, into a fast lair. Things that Scarlett is willing to do. And I'm sure GuMiho is aware of that. Reaper has arrived, going to be dancing with these lings in the natural. Even slips into the main. Shouldn't get a drone here, but oh. Does force a spore. Getting very close. And we have our answer. Behind this, it is going to be 3cc. Third CC is on the way before Starport. Very economic here from GuMiho. Very economic, very standard. Let's go. We have a game. We have something that resembles a standard TVZ. Crazy. So we're going for an add-on swap into Hellion production. Tech Lab is on the way. We are going to be settling into this. Again, this Reaper just, again, being as annoying as possible. Interesting, though. This is not normal. We go for the add-on swap, yes, but we're actually rushing into Stim. Going to be delaying that starport by quite a bit. It's not going for any kind of add-on swap either. This could be leading into a Hellbat push. Hellions are poking out. Starport now on the way. The starport is delayed. Bear that in mind in favor of Stim. So again, because we're rushing into Stim, we should be being very active very soon as well. There it is. Second Rax is on the way. It's going to be Bio, not Mech this game from GuMiho. And we are not committing to additional Hellion production. We have gone up to, I want to say, yeah, only 4 Hellions. We're not going up to 6 or 8. If we were, then I would have doubled down on being like, yo, we go for a Hellbat push? Not quite. We'll be backing up instead. And once again, we are going for the reactor on the factory. But because of we actually didn't go for an add-on swap on the initial reactor though, so we're only making 1 medevac at a time. This is a really interesting build from GuMiho. It's very out of the norm. Up until the 3rd CC, everything was looking normal, but yeah, from here, less so. We're going to be hiding one of those, we're just going for that 2nd Rax, going for double E-base behind this, getting into a 3rd base. So yeah, really interesting. Because we only have 1 medevac to be active, we're moving out to deny Overlords and Creep. This isn't the most committed drop that's going to be moving out. It's just very light pressure here from GuMiho as he's building up and taking up a little bit harder, right? With the prioritization of these double E-bays. Getting into a much faster 1-1. Meanwhile, back at home, Scarlett is just droning, getting up to 3 base saturation. 4th hatchery is on the way. And we're also getting into our, eventually, own upgrade. So it's going to be Ling Bane out of Scarlett. We're not rushing into a fast Spire or hyperfixated on, safety Banelings. No fast Spire, but that is a fast Hydroden. Okay. Bold move out of Scarlett. Hellion Rumite does come in. We do react in time. We do pull back those workers. Hellions are forced out. Medevac drop comes in, and it's only 5 Marines, so we will threaten this space, but we shouldn't get a cancel. We shouldn't get a cancel. The stutter stepping. No shot.
Game paused.
No shot, as it looks like we have a bit of a pause here. We had a pause in game 1, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. Whether it's latency or anything like that. But yeah, it looks like maybe something else going on. Hopefully everything's okay. Cool. Here we go. But yeah, when it comes to this game, again, the opener from GuMiho is really interesting. I do actually like the fast Hydrogen. So Scarlett, she hasn't really seen what GuMiho is up to, but there's a lot going on at the moment. One, this Hydrogen is insanely fast as... Oh, we're getting back into this.
Game resumed.
As we do have some good starter stepping in, and we force a cancel. No shot. 5 Marines. Give GuMiho 5 Marines and we can force a cancel on an almost complete hatchery. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. Very nice trade here from GuMiho, losing 2 Marines for that, by the way. So, very solid play. But yeah, this fast Hydrogen is I would typically say concerning, just because we're taking up very quickly. This will eat into the Ling Bane. It does mean that you have less Ling Bane to defend. But because of GuMiho's opener, because we're just now getting into the rest of our production as well, he doesn't actually have that much to work with. Like, there's no tank push, for example, right? Like, there's no tank push. We're just now getting into Widow Mines. Hellions are moving out with a decent amount of Marines, don't get me wrong. I say decent amount. 16 Marines. So we should be able to defend with Ling Queen. We actually don't need to hyperfixate on Baneling production at the moment. So Scarlett is getting away with these Hydras just because of GuMiho's build of choice. Meanwhile, it is a Hellbat push. A very delayed Hellbat push. Very delayed. But here nonetheless. Looking to cancel this base for a second time. Can we get it? The Hydras have arrived. Oh, but we're getting on top of them. Expensive losses here for Scarlett. Actually, will force this back. But that was 3 Hydras going down for minerals, essentially. Hellions and Marines. But Scarlett does hold. He's going to be droning up heavily, droning up to 84. We're done droning at this point. And we have gotten away with these Hydras for now. Meanwhile, GuMiho's production is now kicking in. He can be active. We have a push here towards the right-hand side. We have a push towards the south. Widow Mines are being set up. And we're making our way towards that mineral line. We're working on it. Creep is being cleaned up. We get an Overlord as well. Straight for that mineral line, but the Bailey will connect. Oof. So far, nice handling of the situation here by Scarlett. Detection should soon be on the way. Meanwhile, GuMiho still being very active here, cleaning up this creep. Getting his 4th base on location. So economically, GuMiho is keeping up with Scarlett. It's keeping up, 2-2 on the horizon. And looking to go into a very high-paced game. Scarlett still investing into additional Hydras. I'm not too... I mean, some Hydras is fine, especially to shut down some of these drop alerts? Medevacs? I said that yesterday as well. But again, right now we do need to fixate on Ling Bane. So far, keeping up. Oh, we do have Widow Mines all over the place. A big connection! One Widow Mine does connect, the other not quite. Meanwhile, towards the north, we catch some of the queens. GuMiho gaining ground. Gaining ground, Widow Mines are being cleaned up. Meanwhile, here towards the south, oh, Scarlett overextending off of creep. Does run into a massive bio army. GuMiho has maxed out. Both players have. Going for a Doom drop towards the 4th. At the same time, hitting the 5th base. Scarlett a bit out of position. We're actually going straight into the natural. On the left-hand side, we don't have a lot of Banelings. Only 1 Baneling with this army. Mainly Hydras. These are going to be expensive losses for Scarlett. A lot of Hydras going to be getting picked up. But we will eventually force this back. Meanwhile, at the same time, Doom drops into the main, doesn't commit. There's just too much on the ground. But GuMiho, he's breaking the southern army. We're going to break this base. The drop could actually meet up with it. Oh my god. The Banelings! No splits, no reaction from GuMiho. Banelings will connect. A fight going Scarlett's way, but did I speak too soon? The Hydras! Oh my god. It hurts seeing so many Hydras die like this. Expensive losses. Drop comes in. We get behind the mineral line and 7 workers go down. I'm afraid to look. That was 21 Hydras. Oh my god. Almost 2,000 gas down the drain there. At this point, 2,000 gas. Getting expensive losses. We actually saw this during the qualifiers. If you were here for the qualifiers, the open qualifiers, you would know that and even during WTL, actually, Scarlett was going for these Hydra heavy compositions. It was really interesting to see. I was, at the time, I was curious if it was just like a one-time thing, but it's continuing to be the case here. A lot more reliant on Hydras than Ling Bane. Okay, these are going to be rolling on in. Decent connection. Medevacs are getting the hell out of there. Scarlett has maxed out. We do have our Hive +3 on the way. Adrenal still not starting up. Yet Scarlett doesn't have the gas for it. This is the problem. Like, Scarlett is lacking some of those upgrades because of how Hydra intensive she is. Mine's just going to be going up the Hydras. They are pushing through. +2 range on the way. Again, like, purposely so. Like, we're ignoring +2 melee for +2 range instead because of how Hydra heavy we are. Like, it is very much so intentional. Very interesting. Northern base is going to be going down. Lane Bay going to be connecting mainly with Marauders. Not ideal. So we're going to be able to focus down some of those drones as well. Behind this, GuMiho trying to come in from behind. He does run into the Queens. The Queens. They got to go down. Nice pickups from GuMiho. Getting 4 Queens. Meanwhile, this Northern Army has gotten out of control. 7 workers go down. We can go for the hatchery. We go straight for the 3rd, actually. 4th. Hydras, they are here, but we can sim on forward. We can dive on the Hydras, and in a head-to-head fight, Hydras, they melt. They are not ideal at all against Bio. And I'm afraid to look at how many Hydras just went down. 51! 51 Hydras just died. Oh my god. 52. We're getting up to 55, getting up to 60 at this point. This base has been broken, and GuMiho snowballing out of control. 55 Hydras. GG gets called, and GuMiho will take a lead in this series. GG. GG, well played. But yeah, again, a really unique style here from Scarlett. Not the first time we've seen this from Scarlett either, to go for a mass Hydra composition. Again, we did cast her during, I think it was last week in WTL, and also during the Open Qualifier. Sorry, not during the Open Qualifier, she was seeded in. Yeah, during WTL, we were able to cover Scarlett's ZvTs, and we saw a very similar thing. We saw going mass Hydra like this, and with mixed results is what I will say. Mixed results, and we can see why, as you saw in that last game, in a head-to-head fight in such a manner, like against Marines and Marauders, Hydras, they are not ideal whatsoever. Typically, Hydras are considered to be a supportive unit. Typically, they're supportive to add a little bit of extra DPS to shut down drop play as well. That's how they are traditionally used. So it's really interesting that, again, Scarlett is intentionally using them as a main core unit instead. That's why she was hyper-fixated on the range upgrades and getting the Hydrogen so early on. This feels very similar to the Miyamaika style. So for those wondering, Miyamaika goes for Ling Hydra as well, but he goes for very certain timings. Like, he plays very all-in with it, very all-in, to try to be hyper-aggressive and try to break the 4th base ahead of time and not really allow the Terran player to get into the economy. But again, I think that's very unique to Miyamaika, and I think this is Scarlett's own variation. And yeah, it's interesting to say the least. But alas, GuMiho will take a 2-1 lead and is 1 game away from qualifying for IEM Katowice. 1 more game is all he needs. Let's go. See in chat, they're both in Korea. You use Korean server. But spawning in the top right hand corner of Solaris, we have the Canadian Zerg player. The red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. She has to fight back here and now for a chance here to qualify for IEM. Meanwhile, in the bottom left-hand corner, we have her opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Cloud9. It is GuMiho. Yeah, I did see in the chat asking about them being on Korea server. Scarlett, I believe, is in the Americas at the moment. I believe both Scarlett and Estrella are not currently in Korea. They're, back at home, or I say back at home, back with their families for the time being, and soon to be traveling to DreamHack Atlanta, if I'm mistaken, in the coming days. Just for those that are unawares, I don't think there's anyone in Korea at the moment. I know Future is back in America. I know Zane, I believe, is back in Europe. Special has been in Mexico for a long time now, for almost the entire year. So, yeah, I don't think there are any players. I say any player. No one's in Korea. Now, I don't believe any of the foreigners are currently living in Korea. That's at the moment. For now, though, we're getting into our openers. We do have... Oh. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted. That's a CC first, Papi. CC first out of GuMiho. Very greedy, very economic here from our Terran player. CC first into the racks, into that Reaper. Scarlett, of course, is going to get eyes on this, I imagine, with that Overlord. Yep, there we go. Do head on over. We do see that the CC is already done at this point. We are now aware of how greedy GuMiho has been. Behind this, Scarlett just getting set up here, going for a hatch gas pull into a third base as well. Pretty standard opener out of Scarlett, as we have seen every game so far. Everything is looking as it should. As our Lings did try to get in, we do try to rotate around as well. Scarlett being a little bit cheeky here, but no, the Lings, they will get caught out. GuMiho being very safe, keeping his Reaper back at home, and he will shut down these Lings. Scarlett, she was hoping to maybe slip in to get a worker kill or two. Ling does get into the main. Is being a nuisance. We get a full scout as well. A very important scout because... Do you see what I see? I see a second factory. Oh boy. It's gonna be mech. We have a second factory on the way. Hellions are in production. Soon to be Cyclones, I imagine, as well. But it's very important that Scarlett was able to get a read on this very early on. Immediately, Roachworn. Immediately, Roachworn is on the way. Scarlett getting ready for the mech that is upon her. Soon to be upon her. Behind this, working towards that third CC. It is a delayed third CC here in favor of the two factories. The streets are empty. Everyone in Korea has gone to Atlanta. For those wondering why Atlanta, DreamHack. DreamHack is this weekend, and it is taking place in the Americas in Atlanta. That is, of course, the big premier StarCraft event that is going to be over the weekend. Not a soul inside. Oh, the Istan, is that you? You're an animal, Poppy. Behind this, Scarlett going straight for that lair for roach speed. Vikings have arrived, shutting down these overlords. We're going double armory for double vehicle upgrades, double mech upgrades. Hurricane thrusters on the way. That is Cyclone speed. And there's that third CC well underway as well. So GuMiho just easing his way into his mech. Now, what's really interesting here is that GuMiho, after being scouted, he has Hellions, yes, but he's not really being too active. He's not really applying too much pressure early on. He's focusing on teching, right? Working on upgrades, third base, additional upgrades here as well in the tech labs. He's easing his way into this. As a result, Scarlett, by playing safe, by prioritizing these roaches, is otherwise going to be, again, lacking a little bit in those workers that she otherwise could have had. But now going to be focusing on droning. Gets a couple of safety roaches, and now drones are underway, saturating that third, soon to be a fourth. And we are getting into the mid game. We're kind of settling into this TVZ. Once again, going for the Raven. We saw that GuMiho did a very similar, went for a very similar composition on Equilibrium. You have the Raven to detect and to clean up all this creep. Banshee's on the way behind this. Interesting adaptation here from GuMiho. For the Banshees, not going for a second Raven. Creep is being cleaned up, but only a portion of it. There's still plenty of creep on the map, and it's Scarlett we're talking about so far. Plenty of active tumors. 3 more factories on the way, and already working towards a 4th CC. Goddamn emotes. From here as well, Scarlett accurately or wisely taking up into that infestation pit, going into infestors to help lock down this army, to help slow down this push. 3 infestors are on the way with the new change, with the new patch. Infestors, they do spawn in with enough energy for a fungal, so they can fungal once each. Creep is being respread. Again, Scarlett still very much so on top of her creep thread. GuMiho is still looking for damage. Hasn't really picked anything off yet, but now he's going to be committing. Now we do have a backbone of Cyclones with this. Trading with the Queens, forcing out Transfuse, not killing anything yet. Scarlett's still building up a Roach Ravager Infestor based composition. Behind this, we're now working towards tanks. Again, as we mentioned on Equilibrium, very wise of GuMiho to start off with Cyclones, but of course transition into a mech-heavy composition afterwards. Especially upon recognizing that we have a lot of Roaches and Ravagers. But can we get the tanks out in time? That's the question. We're just now getting into them. There we go, tanks setting up here on the high ground. Getting ready for the push. And the push is coming. Tank shot's going to be going up. Scarlett will bar down one of those tanks. Decent fungal as well. Getting some of the Hellbats. Nothing major, just 1 tank for the time being. Meanwhile, GuMiho getting his 4th base up and running. Likewise, Scarlett working on her 5th. Spire is on the way. Hive as well. The Spire will grant access to, sure, Mutas, that's going to be an option, but a Greater Spire and Broodlords for the late game. We could be in for a long one. Could be in for a long one as the drones are coming back in too soon. No! The drones, as the Hellbats are in position, and we roast up how many workers? 6, 7. Barely 8 towards the end. Good amount of damage against stealths. At the same time, we catch the Ravagers. Scarlett slipping up a little bit here. Losing workers, Ravagers. GuMiho gaining some momentum. Gonna be backing up, setting up his tanks. Getting a better angle. The Biles! Oh, they will connect. Clutch fungal there from Scarlett. Another big fungal here on the army. The Biles! They take down the Hellbats. They take down the Hellions. There's barely any Cyclones left, and now we can go for it. Barely can't. There are just far too many tanks here on the high ground. Things started off looking a little bit rough for Scarlett, but had a better trade towards the end. With him, Hellion run by does come in, but we have Lynx to deal with this. Hellion's going to be going down. This 3rd base under fire. Thors are on the way. GuMiho mixing in some Thors. Is double expanding in a way. Working towards the center base. A very exposed base, might I add. 2 more tanks go down. Scarlett doing a great job here, just thinning out the tank count. Getting some of the Thors as well. But does have to respect these Cyclones. As GuMiho looking to punish this army. Avoids the Bile, shuts down so many of these Ravagers. Did lose a lot of tanks earlier. But without the Fungals, GuMiho can dive. Does pull back, another tank goes down. As the dust does settle, Scarlett did fairly well here. As we look at the battle report, killed 5 tanks, a Thor, 7 Cyclones, lost mainly Lings. I say that 25 Ravagers was a little bit brutal. But Scarlett, she's up to 80 workers, sorry, up to 90 workers. We have the economy. At the same time, these tanks are exposed. We get 2, we get 3. Tanks are getting picked off. Expensive losses here for GuMiho. Gonna try to punish this. Trying to cut off some of these Ravagers. Yeah, the pressure is on. And GuMiho, he wants to break free. Wants to force Scarlett on the back foot. Miles taking down one of those Cyclones, but we're getting on top of the base. This hatchery is going to go down. And Scarlett no longer has her infestors. Broodlords are on the way. Coming out just in time. Hatchery will still fall. But with the arrival of these Broodlords, actually one of the Broodlords is going to be falling. Up! The Cyclones! They get one! We have 4 more. And it looks like Scarlett, she's going to be able to hold on. She shuts down this army, comes in from behind. And it looks like from here, Scarlett can counterattack. And what do we have at home to defend? What do we have left? No more tanks, only Cyclones. Again, the tank count was completely reset. Broodlords are moving out. We're making 3 Thors at a time. Cyclones are trading okay against these roaches. But the Broodlords, they come in from behind. Force back the army. We deny the third. At the same time, looks like a hatchery did fall here towards the north, but not the biggest of deals. Vikings have arrived. Good target firing from the Thors. We focus on every single one of these Broodlords. GuMiho, he's holding on. He's forcing this back. But GuMiho needs an economy. The Wiles. Oh my god. Taking down a medevac. Again, GuMiho, he needs to get the space up and running. Needs it fully operational. He needs time. Meanwhile, Scarlett not replenishing those Broodlords. Going back into Roach Ravager Infestor. Does come across the planetary. Gonna try to punish it, deny mining at least. Oh, but did we overextend? Wiles not quite connecting. Here come reinforcing Cyclones, and not the first time we've seen some of these Ravagers punished. The Fungals, they connect. Big Fungals here on the army. Here come the Roach reinforcements, and it looks like Scarlett, she has too much. Shuts this down. By getting on top of this army, we could maybe even try to get on top of this planetary, but we are lacking Ravagers. There we go, 4 Ravagers in production. Neural is on the way. For those infestors. You can see GuMiho desperately going for a big counterattack. Big Hellion run by, but he gets caught out. The Fungals, the chain Fungals even. Scarlett in position, shuts down the Hellions. Lord drop towards the north. Killing a hatchery, but again, not the most impactful base here for Scarlett. She has the bank. She's got 3k, 1k in the bank. Plenty of minerals, plenty of gas. Tester's waddling on in. Bit of mispathing, but we don't punish it, thankfully. Does pull back. GuMiho going for some Thor drops across the map. We're going to get the Queens. Queens are going down, but the planetary, no. This is what matters. The Vials, they connect, and we shut down the base. GuMiho is being starved out. Doesn't have the economy he needs. Does have a pretty terrifying army, though. Has the Concave. Good Fungal here. Good Vials as well. The Hellbat saying dive on top of the army. Dive on top of the Infestors. Again, plenty of Roach Ravager, and as GuMiho bleeds out units, he cannot replace them. He's trying to. 11, 12 workers are going down. This Thor putting in a lot of work. Once again, the Plows, they do connect. They take down the Thor. And it looks like Scarlett has too much. GG gets caught. She cleans up the army, and we tie things up 2-2. We're going to the ace match. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. We are going all the way to game number 5. Let's go. Oh. Again, when it comes to the mech style here from GuMiho, like, it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. But there was, of course, a big moment when he was caught out when he was trying to counterattack across the map. When the Broodlords revealed themselves, that was a big moment for Scarlett, where she was able to win a big fight, counterattack, punch one of the bases, gain control of the map, and gain control of the economy as well of GuMiho. GuMiho was never able to really have a stable 4-base economy. Did try to for a time, but yeah, Scarlett was just being so active. Once she got up to 90 workers, once she got her bases up and running, just did not give GuMiho any room to breathe. at times I was worried that maybe she was overextending a little bit. But again, because of her economy, she was able to sustain her losses anyway. And again, more importantly, trade with GuMiho. She could afford to trade. GuMiho couldn't. And eventually, GuMiho ran out of steam. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we are going to game 5. Still uncertain as to the map of choice here. Looks like our players are still figuring that out as to where we are loading in. We will see. Meanwhile, we have some other updates in the bracket. I guess we'll go over them after we wrap up the series. Remember, it is double elimination. Bear that in mind. So regardless of who wins and who loses, both GuMiho and Scarlett will have one more chance in the lower brackets, and we're going to be following them regardless of if it's GuMiho or Scarlett. We will be following them into the lower brackets. Where do they have an opponent? Do they already have an opponent waiting for them? It looks like I believe it's going to be Special. I believe Special is waiting for the loser of this series. Oh my. Oh, my condolences though. Oh, that's so sad. My heart is breaking a little bit, and I mean, we have a little bit of time here. It looks like they're still getting ready for that lobby. Creator has been eliminated. He has been eliminated from the tournament. I'm a big Creator fan, and he's so wholesome, Bob. He's so wholesome. He's been to IEM before, and he won't be there this time. Just not his day, not his morning, as Creator did end up falling to Special, surprisingly so. I do think that I've spoken to Asher about this, but I actually, like, Special has been dropping off a little bit recently. Like, he hasn't been playing as much. He hasn't been focusing on competing as much. Been focusing on, you know, improving himself IRL, which, I mean, we always do champion. But yeah, Special has been struggling recently, so for him to come out swinging into 2-0 Creator, impressive stuff. Very impressive. As it looks like our players, after that game, they need a moment. They do need a moment. I don't blame them. Don't blame them. Oh. I love how our admin's like, "Yo, give me here, Scarlett. You guys good?" I'm like, "Yeah, we good." Oh, okay. Oh. But yeah, Pig just in the chat. He's like, "I'm always anxious about like moments like this where I feel like I'm worried that I like miscounted and the series has ended or something." We're like, no, it's okay, it's okay. Ace match, Poppy, ace match. Oh, and here we go. Looks like we have our next game. It's going to be on Alkione. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. Okay. One of the larger maps in the map pool. A lot of bases. Long rush distance. Not a bad map for late game play. Not saying this has to be mech. We have seen GuMiho flaunt his skill with, you know, a bio-heavy composition as well. But we'll see. We'll see if we even get a late game. Earlier today, GuMiho, he was proxying quite a lot. We could even go back to that. He's a very unpredictable player, and I mean, Alkione would be the map to proxy, I guess, just to catch your opponent off guard. We'll see. Plus, I did just wake up. Right? We're getting there. Let's see 103 SCVs again. You're all animals. You're all animals. Here we go. Just switch back between the servers. Again, shout out to all the other language casters as well. I believe Enki's out there. Indy's casting in Polish as well. Really excited to see Indy, actually. Usually he only covers the European events, but even Indy is here for the Americas. He knows. He knows what the people want. And now we are loading on in. It all ends here. It all ends on Alkyone. Game 5. The ace match. Here we go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkyone, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Cloud9 being forced into the ace match. Oh, looking over here at the goal-based locations, I'm curious. It is GuMiho. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. Forcing that ace match, forcing game number 5. Here we go. Again, not unheard of for players in general to try to rush into this goal base, but specifically in this matchup, it is unwise to do so. It can be punished quite hard. So we do have a hatch first here, hatch gas pulled from Scarlett, standard hatch relocation. Meanwhile, it looks like GuMiho was just setting up his camera locations. Okay. It was some really interesting camera movement here, and I was like, yo, what are we thinking, Bobby? What are we thinking? What's going through our mind? The answer, gold. Ah, okay. For now, our Rax is back at home. Important that we point that out. We have been seeing a lot of proxies so far in this series, so Rax at home, going to be a Rax expand. This time, no CC first, which is what we had previously. Standard openers. Oh. Beautiful. Yeah, that's that CC here on the low ground, on location. And the game is going to be selling on from here. I'm still, like, on the fence whether I want to see mech or bio from GuMiho. Personally, like, bio is always a lot of fun, so I guess I want to see bio, but, like, when it comes to this map in general, I do see both working. I do see both excelling even in their own ways. When it comes to the features of Alkyone, it isn't just it's a large map with a lot of bases, but because of the base layout, here this triangular third, this linear third base, they're very defendable. There's a lot of high ground, there's a lot of points of elevation in between them as well to set up tanks and set up siege lines. We have seen a lot of split map, even just bio tank play, where you turtle up and you get up to 5 bases, you work towards your goal base as well. And again, we have seen just a lot of split map scenarios here on Alkyone in general, just because of how fortified and how defendable a lot of these bases are. What's behind this? We are going for an economic opener. It's going to be a third CC before starport. Economic opener from our Terran player. Meanwhile, it's also GuMiho, so we can't like rule out something crazy like a 3C into like BC production or something crazy like that. For now, we're going for an add-on swap. Reactor on the factory, tech lab on that Rax. Interesting choice here, as are we going to be prioritizing Stim again? It looks like that's going to be the case. And Marine production is commencing. There it is. Once again, we're rushing into Stim. We saw this on Site Delta, if you recall. We did prioritize Sim, went into a starport, went for a single medevac drop to gain momentum. Reaper is going to be forced out. Is going to be forced out of the main, and we'll see what kind of direction GuMiho takes us in as well. If you remember at the time, I was thinking like, oh, is this going to be leading into something crazy like a Hellbat push? did actually, but much later. Went a medevac drop first into a Hellbat push. So we'll see if that's going to be the same. Aliens, they do threaten that third. Don't quite find too much damage though. There's that starport now in production. Very delayed starport in favor of additional Marines. And Stim, of course. Hellions are moving out, but we only have 4 of them. Once again, going for the reactor in the factory, and I think we're going to go back into Hellion production from here, if I recall correctly. There's the double E-bays. Yeah, this is the same build as Side Delta. Same build from GuMiho. CC is going to be landing. There's that single medevac on the way, as we saw before. So it's going to be Hellions on the ground alongside that single medevac to try to harass across the map. I think from here we went back into Hellion production, if I recall correctly. The additional Maxes are on the way. And for the time being, Scarlett's just droning. We're just chilling back at home. We're droning. It is bio, of course, thankfully. It is going to be bio play from GuMiho. Not mech, not this time. To shut down that Overlord. Gonna be going for that single medevac drop across the map. As I mentioned before, yep, we're going back to Hellions. This is very unique. So usually, once you get your first couple of Hellions in the early game of TVZ, you just get out of it. Which is why it's really interesting that GuMiho reinvests. And this is for a later Hellbat push. Once 1-1 kicks in, because we are getting really fast level 1 upgrades, we should be throwing down an armory. Then these Hellions, they can gain some more value later on. Drop comes in, we're going for a cancel on the 4th base once again. I'm getting deja vu. This time though, we should be able to save it. We do not force a cancel. Let's go. Right, Hellions pushing on the right hand side. Clearing up whatever creep we can. We are going to be reinforcing. Armory is on the way, continuing Hellion production as well. Again, this is a very unique... Like, GuMiho is the only player I've seen do this. Literally. Very unique to GuMiho. Really interesting. Really interesting play style. As Hellions, they lead the charge, clearing up this creep, working towards that 3rd base. Queens, sorry, they're not quite in position. The Baileys, they aren't done yet. Baileys going to be going down, and just before they're ready, could this be it? We dive on forward. The Lings are coming from behind. They're trying to go for a surround. The Bailings, they do crash on forward. Big connections. Just before the armory finished, just before the Hellbats came in, and GuMiho gets cleaned up. Again, just dove too far in, got too excited. GuMiho instead has to go for drop play. And that was close. If we did not have the surround, then GuMiho would have been able to kite back. We would have seen the Hellions morph into Hellbats. Still considering Hellion production, by the way. Still coming out. GuMiho does drop here on the right-hand side. Head towards that base, towards that mineral line. No drones, though. Meanwhile, Scarlett getting into Ling, Bane, Hydra. Drops are being forced out. And there we go. Now we're getting into Widowmine production. This is looking more sane. Now we're getting back into those Widowmines to help support the bio. But GuMiho has already lost a lot of momentum. If you remember, by this time on Side Delta, GuMiho had already denied bases, killed workers, traded well against the Hydras. This time, Scarlett did delay her Hydra production a little bit further than she did on Side Delta. But still hyperfixated, getting +1 range, not melee. Okay. Oh my god. Yeah, we're just getting into heavy Hydra production once again. So we go, GuMiho going for a split push. Bailey's gonna be rolling in good connections with the Bailings. They take down those Widowmines. We barely do hold on to this hatchery. It's very low though. Very vulnerable. Scarlett's going to be holding on. GuMiho, though, he wants the base! And he's going to get it. Hatchery will fall. The medevac does wander into those Hydras. But a good trade here. At the same time, Liberator harass at the third. Jump coming in towards the fourth. The gold base is going to be delayed. Scarlett knocked down to 4 bases. GuMiho being so active, getting another queen. Does force another cancel on that hatchery as well. Thankfully, not a kill. Scarlett's able to keep up. Sorry. I don't know if you heard that. That was like some weird static. Scarlett was able to hold on. GuMiho trying to keep the pressure up. Scarlett, though, about to max out. She's up to 80 workers. 3-3 on the way for the Terran. Trying to catch some of these Hydras. The Widow Mines. Even forcing a bit of friendly fire. Connect with the Lings, but also with the Marines. GuMiho does have to back up. Oh, and I hope that isn't me. As the Hydras are pushing forward, it looks like Scarlett, she's breaking on in. She gets into the middle line. Planetary is going to be going down the third base as well. The Hydras, they're doing it. They take down 22 workers. Marines are trying to hold strong here. Widowmine shots are going to be connecting, and it looks like GuMiho is barely going to hold on. But Scarlett, she has an economy behind this. She can remax, she can rebuild. GuMiho losing almost 30 SCVs. This Hydra push from Scarlett achieving quite a lot, actually. Took down the workers, almost took down the planetary. And Scarlett from here is remaxing. GuMiho is committed. GuMiho is committed. He's up against the wall right now. I can never doubt the mass Hydra again. I mean, it still was a brutal trade. That was still 23 Hydras going down. That was a lot of gas. But we had the economy for it this time. Hatches are being replaced. Gold base is going to be cancelled. But we don't need the gold. Oh, as we are going for the 5th. Scarlett, she's in position. Forces back GuMiho. Forces him back. Almost catches some of those Metamax in the center of the map. GuMiho, it's his turn to try to catch these Hydras. But Bailey's are in position. Scarlett, she can take a fight. Does back up. Up. Oh my god. Trying to catch those Marines. Attempting to catch those Marines. And Scarlett does retreat. GuMiho trying to remax again. The pressure is on GuMiho to try to kill some workers, snipe a base. Force Scarlett to stay back because Scarlett has remaxed 200 supply. 3-3 is done for the Terran. Is done for GuMiho. Scarlett trying to keep up. Very limited creep thread. The creep has been receding here. GuMiho doing a great job at maintaining control of the center of the map. Has remaxed himself. Spainlings, they try to crash on forward. Widow Mines are borrowing. Mine shots go off. We don't get any big connections though. Ling Bane trades well. That's still a lot of Hydras. How many? 30. Oh my god. More Hydras than there are Marauders. Almost as many as Marines. From here, Scarlett, getting supply blocked. It's a moment to remax. Hive is on the way. Infestors as well. GuMiho, he's still in this. He was up against the wall. He still doesn't have the best economy. He's picking up his main base, landing it as the gold. A bit of a desperation move. But it could pay off. Especially if GuMiho keeps Scarlett on her side of the map. Here we go. We dive on the hatchery, dive on the base. Force a cancel. Scarlett this time keeping up with her movement for the most part. Trying to catch the army. Oh! Doesn't quite connect. GuMiho rotating over towards the right hand side. Denying getting a kill this time on that hatchery. Good connection. Bungles, they will connect as well. Scarlett catching some of those Marines is going to be losing an Infestor. Well, meanwhile, caught out of position. GuMiho comes in, kills a base, kills 2 bases. 12 workers go down. In the blink of an eye, GuMiho is still in this. He's pulling Scarlett apart. All it takes is one moment, one lapse in judgment, and suddenly a base goes down. Now, Scarlett may have lost some workers and a hatchery, that's true, but we have the gold. The gold is making up for that. Scarlett still has a solid economy, thanks to the gold base. But GuMiho is pushing. Trying to rally on forward here. Do we have a fungal? We do. Do have a fungal, but running out of Ling Bane. Decent fungal, but the army is getting on top of the Hydras, and we've seen this before. The Hydras, they're going down. Not an efficient trade here for Scarlett. Without any Ling Bane, there's nothing to stop the Bio army. We get on top of the gold base. Lings are coming in to reinforce. But is it too little, too late? The 3-3 Bio getting out of control. GuMiho! Oh my god, he was in such a rough position. He's being forced back. Scarlett holds onto her fourth, just barely. Holds onto her gold, just barely. Ay, ay, ay. GuMiho not slowing down. He knows he's so close to breaking Scarlett. The hatchery does fall. For some friendly fire with the Winter Mines. Scarlett trying to get on top of this. But again, Ling Hydra does not trade well, not against 3-3 Marines. We need Banelings, we need Infestors, we need some kind of splash damage. Scarlett does lose the gold, trying to take another base. Is double expanding as we speak, taking bottom right and top left. Bottom right, it's not going to finish. And it looks like GuMiho may just have too much. We do have a couple of Banelings on the way, Infestors as well. Fungals can win a fight for Scarlett. Behind this, the gold, fully operational. But we pick up the third, we landed as another base. As a sixth. GuMiho not slowing down. Lings, they come in for a surround. Good Fungals. Good Fungals on the army. Decent Baneling connections. And Scarlett, she's barely going to clean this up. Very clutch Fungals. If it wasn't for that, then GuMiho may have taken that fight. Scarlett's still in this, but do we have any Fungals left? That's the question. We have 3 Infestors, and we do not have a Fungal growth. Scarlett, she needs more time here to recover that energy, to get ready for the fight, and it's not happening. GuMiho's already here. The Infestors, get out of here! Oh my god. GuMiho going for the Infestor hit squad. Does get forced back. Scarlett expanding towards the north, getting another base up and running. Still on a knife's edge. Mine shot's gonna be going off. Like, the scary thing about Scarlett's army composition is, as we've seen, if Scarlett ever loses her Ling Bane, like, the Hydra army, it just folds, it just crumbles. It's made out of paper. Like, it's it's very fragile. Oh, the Fungal though, the Borrowed Infestor, we shut down the drop here on the right hand side. We clean up the Marines and the Medivacs as well. At the same time though, GuMiho pushing towards the left does run into some Ling Bane, and Scarlett, she shuts down both pushes. GuMiho relying on his split drops here, and at last he gets shut down. Getting on top of the Hydras, mainly Marauders though, no Marines. And Scarlett gaining momentum here, winning on both fronts, both on the right and the left. Again, GuMiho caught completely off guard. It's all about the Fungals at this point, or it was at least. Scarlett has to be careful to overextend. We don't have a Fungal with this Infestor. Infestor does get targeted down. Big pickup. We do have 1 Infestor remaining. We do have 1 Fungal growth. We don't want to waste it. Don't want to waste it here as we're pushing on forward. We want to try to get on top of the army. We do land. The Fungal does connect. The Hydra's getting stuck though. You do get stuck at the Zonaga. At the same time, a drop on the right hand side gets a kill on that hatchery. This base is going to fall. We have another Infestor. We have another Fungal. We have one. It's happening. Scarlett getting the gold base back up and running as well. we have a Doom drop. Scarlett, she did well, like, gaining momentum in this game, don't get me wrong, but this base is so vulnerable. We're gonna get the base. We're gonna get the entire mineral line as well. We do have an Infestor. No, it rallies in. The Infestor goes down. Big pickup. The Infestor gets picked off likewise. Towards the south, looks like we do pick off the medevac in the end. We are going to be able to shoot this away, but alas, Scarlett now down on base. He's going to push this across the map, though. He's going to try and punish this CC. Going to try and even get on top of some of those medevacs. The boys are being pulled. Oh, my God. The boys are being pulled alongside the army. We do force the army back. Looks like we should be able to get that base up and running. At the same time, though, Scarlett across the map here trying to gain momentum as well, trying to shut down this gold. To have a couple of Widowmines, 3 Hydras, they do trickle on in. Meanwhile, GuMiho coming in with a massive army. Does catch a lot of these Hydras. Hydras, they are going to go down. Big pickups here for GuMiho. And where are those Infestors? Where are the Fungals? Looks like we are going to be able to deny the gold base, but that's going to be one base. A second base going down as well. Scarlett, her economy not looking too hot, and across the map, we do deny the gold. We do deny this base on the right-hand side as well. The SCVs! We can dive on top of the SCVs. We can shut down. Oh, we can try to as Scarlett does pull back. Does pull back in the end. You can see GuMiho starting to snowball out of control. He has reached 200 supply. He's, oh my God, maxed out. He's maxed at this point. Big fungal here on the army, but alas, where is the Ling Bane? Where is the bulk here? The backbone of the army of Scarlett barely has anything left. Has a handful of Hydras. Banelings are just now being morphed in, but it's too late, and now we don't have a fungal. We don't have a fungal left, and GuMiho, the splits are good enough. The army pushing on through, snowballing out of control. GG gets called, and GuMiho will take this series 3-2, qualifying for IEM Katowice. GG. Oh my God. GG, well played. And I don't know if you noticed, but I am looking a little bit different today. Unfortunately, when we were covering this event live, I actually did lag out after the conclusion of that game, and because of the 2-minute delay, that was not covered. So just casting the end of that game after the fact here, and GG, well played. We went the distance, went all the way to game 5 to the ace match here. Scarlett was so close, but unfortunately was not able to trade well enough, and GuMiho does take it in the end. Now, thankfully, Scarlett has another chance. Scarlett is going to be knocked down to the lower bracket, where she'll be facing off against Special for another best of 5, another qualifying match. GG. GG, well played. When it came to that series overall, it was very back and forth, went the distance, which is impressive, by the way. Again, goes to show the caliber of player that Scarlett is, because GuMiho is, of course, the ESL Masters Summer runner-up and is a powerful player in his own right, one of the best Terrans in the world. When it came to that game specifically, and as you took note throughout the entire series even, Scarlett, this Hydra-heavy style, it feels so risky. I don't want to harp on it too much. But going for this this Hydra heavy composition, a little bit lighter on the Ling Bane. It's just we've seen multiple times throughout that game, throughout the series, where GuMiho would close the distance, get through the Ling Bane, get on top of the Hydras, and these are just very expensive losses here, very expensive trades for Scarlett. Just not relying as heavily on Ling Bane or even having lurkers behind it or any kind of higher form of tech. This game was very scrappy. It was very scrappy here, very back and forth. Both players were losing economy. They were both losing workers, but GuMiho still had the stronger economy behind it here, with his mules as well, with his SCV count, with his base count, and with a more efficient army. I think I would go that far. There were really good moments there for Scarlett whenever she would incorporate her Infestors, but it was always one and done. You know, 1 or 2 good fungals here and there, then the Infestor would die, and have to replace them, and have to rebuild them. And that was just, again, a heavy investment that we didn't really have the bank for behind it. Regardless, GG, well played. GuMiho will advance on into, or he would qualify for IEM Katowice. And up next, we have Scarlett versus Special in a best of 5. See you soon.